Hey, welcome back to another video. I'm Ivan Calderon, and today we're making a beat. Okay, so let's break this beat down. Now, we started this entire thing with a piano that I got from Nexus 3. I've used this one before, but it's under the new sounds that we get. So it's ROM Extensions 2 piano, and it's the first one here. Now, it is worth mentioning that I'm in the key of A flat minor, or G sharp minor, and I'm at 92 BPM. But anyway, that piano by itself sounds like this. Now I am playing the triad chords with my right hand and bass notes with my left hand. Now once I had that down, I decided to move on to the drums because for the most part, most if not all reggaeton beats carry the same dembow rhythm. So I decided to focus on that. And the first thing that we brought in was the two kicks, so kick 1 and 2, and then the snare, and that sounds like this. So we got kick 1 here, and kick 2 here. 1, 2, 1. Now to keep the bounce moving, the next thing that I added was a closed hat. Now, an important thing to note with this hat is that it's not on the downbeat. The downbeat is usually classified as what you would count normally in music. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in between every downbeat, there's usually an upbeat, and you count that with an and. So you'd go 1 and 2 and 3 and. This hi-hat is on the and, on the upbeat. So that sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now you can place the hi-hats on the downbeat. I prefer to place them on the upbeat because for me, this fills in the gaps a little bit more and it adds a little bit more to the bounce. Moving on from there, we added an accent snare and then a crash. Now, if I were to show you all that in one page, the accent snare would be, that one's already there. Okay, so that's the accent snare. It comes in right before some of the main snares, and then the crash in the beginning, of course. So we get this. Accent snare here. Now, once I had the foundation for the drums, I moved back over to the melodic section to finish that off. Now, the first element that I added back in the melodic section was a rhythm guitar that played the exact same chords from the piano. Now that, by itself, sounds like this. Has a little bit of reverb in there right now. So same thing if I add in the piano. Now, even though this probably won't be too prominent in the grand scheme of things in the final mix, I wanted it here because it adds movement to the melodic section. Now, a lot of that had to do with how I played it. Number one, I palm muted it, which means that I placed my palm on the strings near the bottom towards the bridge, which already lowers the volume of the guitar by a lot. But two, and most importantly, I played it in a chug motion, and again, it's just to add more rhythm, more movement to the melodic section. Now, moving on from there, the next element that I added was the bass. Now, what I did for that was I took the lowest note off the bass notes from the piano, brought that down, and basically this is what I got. Now, so far, all of the elements that we've added have been very foundational, very, I guess, rhythmic. So the next thing that we added was a melody. Now, the first melody that I added were some bells, and they sound like this. Now, at this point, I really liked what I had, but I felt there was still somewhat of a gap. So what I did was I added a counter melody with some lead guitars. Now, if you take notice, with the bells, we have some notes here, then we have a gap, and then we have more notes and then a gap. So what I did was I added a counter melody that provided or acted kind of like a call and response type of thing. So if you notice, the lead guitar that I'm about to play you, it fits perfectly in between those gaps. And what I did for this was I recorded the guitar actually twice, and then took one signal, panned it hard left, took the other signal, panned it hard right, and that created a really big, I guess, open, really wide guitar. So once I play you those together, this is what we get. And then really, this is the entire melodic section of the beat. Now, last but not least, almost in every reggaeton beat, there's some sort of switch up when it comes to the drums. So what I did was I brought in a third kick and a second snare, and they sound like this. Now for this section, I didn't want to bring a lot of the elements from the first half, so what I did was I left out the accent snare, I left out the hi-hat, but I did bring in what's known as a timbal, which is there to not only spice it up, but also kind of almost replaces the accent snare, and that sounds like this. Now, the very last elements that we added for this beat were some toms and a riser for the transitions. Now, for the toms, we had a higher pitched tom and a lower pitched tom, and they sound like this. And then for the riser, what I did was I took a crash, a cymbal that I had, and I reversed it, added a little bit of a fade, and then basically this is the transition here. So finally, once again, once we play this beat with everything together, this is what it sounds like. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, like this video if you like to subscribe if you're not already, but I'll see you on the next one.